Hi, my name is Poppy Iatru. I am a psychologist and owner of Wellness Arts in Sydney, Australia. This presentation today is about a model of care that I use with the majority of my clients, and I'm recording this for them pretty much. So today we are looking at this triangle, and I'm trying to understand the best way to shift your state of mind and body using a bottom up approach, that is, using the body, and also using a top down approach, that is, using the mind to shift your emotional state, and also how to combine them both so that you get the best of both worlds. So, if we look at this triangle, I always start at the bottom with the body because the body is the container of the subconscious mind and is the most powerful part of the ability to shift your emotional, mental, and physical state. So it's, if you think about it, it's kind of like the undercurrent or the biggest part of the iceberg, which is the most powerful. So because emotions and your state is in the body, then it's the most efficient and effective way to shift your state. Then we have at the top on the left hand side your focus or your filter and what you're filtering in. And all of this moves together. I'll explain in a minute how that works. And then that is part of the conscious mind, which is the tip of the iceberg, probably 5% of our decision making. But everything is filtering in to your conscious and your subconscious mind. But you need a filter because you can't filter everything in. There's just too much information coming at you every second of every moment. And on the right hand side, we have the higher functions of the brain, which and more to do with the left side of the brain, which is your language, which controls your language center, and we're looking at your inner voice or that inner critic or that little voice that talks to you. Just sometimes under the radar, your belief systems, your perception of what is filtering in and how you understand that, how you make meaning out of that. So these are all higher functions, and then of course your purpose is always important, where that always has some influence on your emotional state, how connected you are to your purpose. If we look at the next slide, we have our triangle still there to remind us. But I like to think about this staircase of states. And at the very bottom are the low energy negative states. And they are things like sadness, apathy, numbness. And if your triangle is down there, it's kind of in this blue, I guess, zone. And there is not much energy, and there's not much energy in the body. Your mind is filtering in a lot of negative information, and that inner voice is very negative, and you're very disconnected from your purpose, and everything feels like there's no meaning. All of your beliefs and your perception are overshadowed by the negative thoughts, feelings, and sensations. Then, as you move up the staircase to the orange zone, these are high energy negative states. So, in the orange zone, there are things like fear and frustration. And then in the red zone, a little bit higher, is anger and rage at the very top of the negative states with a lot of energy behind them. So, in that zone, your body feels very different. There's a lot more energy in the body that needs to be released. The body wants to move in a particular direction, either away from something or towards something. And you're filtering in information that's relevant to that particular state. So if you're in fear, you're filtering in all of the information that tells you that there is danger. And your voice is moving you away from danger and towards safety. And your beliefs are colored by that emotional state as well. So you believe that people can't be trusted. There's a lot of feelings of mistrust, and your meaning making is also colored by that orange hue of fear. In the red zone, anger and rage, your body is very activated towards your purpose. So you're a little bit closer to your purpose, but you're focused very rigidly on what you believe is the right way. And so your mind is not very psychologically flexible. You can't see any other way. It's not very good at problem solving, but you're very driven towards what it is that you want. You may not it may not work well in relationships or negotiations. Then a little bit further up, midway up the staircase, is courage, which is a mixed state between positive and negative emotions. So there's always a bit of negative, either fear or guilt is behind courage, or and also the positive side of that is that you are connected to, trying to connect to your purpose. So standing up for what you believe in, even though it feels scary, so the fear, or you may feel guilty for standing up for what you believe in or asking for what you need. So it's a little bit uncomfortable, but it also feels good because you're moving towards what's important to you. Then we get to the positive emotional states up the staircase in this purple zone, of the low energy positive states. Things like acceptance. You don't love it, but you're not really resisting anymore the way things are. It could be relating to having gone through the grieving process, and you are not happy that you have lost your loved one, but you are no longer resisting it, and you understand that it's part of the cycle of life and death. And then as we move up into the higher energy positive states, there's things like gratitude and love, and then up higher is joy, and at the very top is peace, the type of peace that, for example, a very enlightened person may have, where they just know that happiness and peace comes from inside, and they carry that unconditional love with them wherever they go and with whoever they meet. And as you can see in the middle here, the triangle in the yellow zone, it feels very light in the body. The body feels calm, relaxed, and the focus is often you're filtering in a lot of positive information, and your inner voice is a language of love, and your beliefs relate to that, and you're not in resistance, and you're very connected to your purpose. So let's bring them to the last part of the puzzle, which I always talk to my clients about, is having an understanding of the stress response and the body's response to what is happening in your environment and inside the body as well, the inside environment and the external environment. So if we look at this arrow on the left of this larger diagram, arousal increases as you go up the scale. And you start off in the green zone, where you are kind of like up the top of the states staircase in the yellow and the purple zone, where you're able to feel joy, you're in the present moment, you're able to be grounded, your curiosity is wild and open, you're full of compassion, and you're very mindful, and you're able to connect socially, you feel safe, you're oriented to your environment, and your body is able to digest. You're able to resist infection, so your immune function is really high. This is where you're resting, and all of your circulation is going to the non-vital organs. So to your skin, to your extremities, to what it needs, what you can do when you're in rest. And then oxytocin is flowing through your veins, which is allowing you to connect and make bonds with people, and you're able to relate really well. You get less defensive as well. So then as we move up into the orange zone, which is on the left of the curve in the middle, This is where you're moving away from things. So that is flight in terms of the fight or flight response, which is our survival response. When there's danger, we either want to run away from danger or fight for our lives. So in the orange zone, you're moving away from danger. That's where you are in a state of panic, fear, anxiety, worry, and concern. And if you're in the red zone, where you're in the fight zone, that's where there's frustration, irritation, anger, and rage. And if you look to the right, where they talk about the sympathetic nervous system, this is where your blood pressure increases, your heart rate increases. You've got lots of fuel available in order to run or fight, and that is in the big muscles. So this is important to remember, that when you have this activation, you need to use that energy that's in the muscles. And what works to shift your emotional state when you're in the red zone is movement. It doesn't really work to just sit there and do some relaxation exercises and breathe. When you're in that very highly activated state in the red zone, it's important to move that stress out. And it doesn't take long. It takes 90 seconds to move that stress out of your body. What the things that decrease is your digestion. So your digestion stops or slows down, and your immunity slows down as well. And you can't really relate as well to other people. So this is a survival state, and you cannot really be in survival state and in healing state, which is in this kind of green zone, at the same time. They're two different nervous systems. So in the green zone, where healing is happening and digestion, that's a parasympathetic nervous system, and in the survival response is the sympathetic nervous system, which is that red and orange zone. And the red and orange zone relates to the states ladder to the left, where you're in frustration, fear, anger, rage. There's many other emotions in there, but I'm just keeping it simple here. And then in the blue zone is when you're absolutely overwhelmed, or you've been in chronic stress for so long that your body shuts you down. And you're in this blue zone at the bottom of the states ladder, where there's no energy behind your emotional state, and you feel dissociated, which is like you tune out from what's happening around you. You feel a sense of numbness or depression. You're trying to conserve your energy. Your body's actually thrusting you into that state for your healing. And this is the time to rest and to get good nutrition and to do gentle movement, to avoid this feeling of helplessness. Because every time you contract a muscle, you're releasing myokines, which are dubbed the hope molecule. So instead of feeling helpless, you feel more hopeful and moving towards your purpose. And again, on this side, there's, like in terms of the freeze response, the body is collapsed and it's immobile, and there's feelings of shame or shut down, hopelessness, and you feel trapped. And that often happens with people that have been through trauma or chronic stress, or chronically not nourishing your own needs. So there's a lot of things that happen in the body. Endorphins are released to numb the pain, and your heart rate decreases, your blood pressure decreases, your temperature decreases, your muscle tone becomes floppy, your facial expression becomes flat, and there's less eye contact. Your voice has less tone in it. You're really less aware of the human voice, and you're probably withdrawing. There's less sexual response, and the immune response is decreased as well. So when we put these all together, it's a nice model to think about, what do you need to do in each zone to help you. So in this bottom zone of the staircase, you'll see the blue zone this is where you need to sleep and rest and get care, and do gentle movement. As you move up into the orange zone, which is that flight or fear zone, This is where, or just moderate stress, this is where breath and relaxation and using your five senses to soothe you, that's what is helpful in this orange zone. And then at a bit higher up where you're in the highly distressed state, this is where movement, strong, sharp, short movement, and strong sensory soothing, things like hot bath or shower, cold water on the face, pressure, deep pressure, tapping, body tapping, or a deep hug, or rocking, things like that. This is where that is helpful. And once you relax, then it doesn't take long. Those strong movement things only need to be about 30 to 60 seconds to get you down into the orange zone. And then you can start doing some conscious breath, just counting in for 4, out for 4, maybe some relaxation, and some sensory soothing, like listening to music or going for a walk in nature or talking to someone, connecting with someone and getting their perspective. Then we look at so those are the bottom-up approaches, looking at how you can shift your physiological state from using your body, and they have an effect on the mind. So it's all connected, obviously, the mind and body is connected. So when you do use those body practices, the mind will start to relax and open up its focus, its filter, and the inner voice or the beliefs will start to become a little bit more flexible, and you'll be able to problem solve a bit better, as you would in this green zone. And then there's the mind practices, which are the top-down approaches. And that is when you work on what you're focusing on. And I've got some focus exercise on my website, and also a couple of awareness exercises. And then the looking at your beliefs, and this is, where you do a really good kind of look at your beliefs, your past beliefs, and whether they're still relevant, looking at your inner voice, tuning into that, looking at your perception of things and how you make sense of things. And then also really keeping in mind your purpose. And I've got a really good guided journal that I use with people to look at these top-down approaches and reflecting on the past 12 months and looking at how you can, shift through some of those unhelpful beliefs into more empowering beliefs. And that's called Tides of Change. You can get it on Amazon. It's called Tides of Change Guided Journal. You can find it on my website too, wellnessarts.com.au. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or get in touch with me. My contact is info@wellnessarts.com.au, and I will leave that in the links below if you wanted to get in touch. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope this information has been helpful.